Hello, and welcome back to my little coding tutorial series about making the classic video game Pong in Java. In my last video, as I was explaining the code that goes into the game, I mentioned a little thing called death mode. In this video, I'll be explaining what death mode is and also showing how I implemented it into the current program. If you are not familiar with this program, I suggest that you watch my previous video. Just click the annotation in the top right corner of your screen or use the link in the description below. I will also go over the program just a little bit in this video as well, but again, the last video goes into much more depth as to how the program is structured and how it works. This video will also be shorter than my previous one, and so it will be easier to comprehend. Now, what is death mode? Death mode was a proposed idea by my teammate in my Java class. We had created a screensaver program earlier in the year, and I had modified it so that it flashed every color of the rainbow very, very fast. Basically, I made a seizure inducer. My teammate enjoyed it so much that he wanted to implement it into our project by making the black background of Pong flash like crazy. And since that would destroy your eyes, we dubbed it death mode. I adamantly refused this addition to the project, but now that the project has been submitted, it sounds like a fun little thing to add in, but with some modification. Instead of the background flashing, the objects drawn on screen, i.e. the balls and paddles, are the ones flashing, and the ball moves significantly faster. So, let's jump right into it. Hey, welcome back to Pong. So, you might notice this is the menu, the exact same menu from last time, except with one little difference. Right now we have something called death mode down here. And you might be curious as to what that means. I did explain earlier in the video, but it's time to show you what it is. So, as you notice, the ball and the paddles change color, and then this happens. The ball moves very, very quickly, and it's almost impossible to win. The games don't last very long because the ball moves extremely fast. So it's, it's all about the absolute insanity. The paddles feel so sluggish in this mode, but it's death mode. You gotta die when you play. That's just how it works. But yes, this is all that death mode is. It's just everything flashes like crazy, and the ball moves very, very fast. That's essentially all it's got. And player 2-1. Very simple. Just, yeah, it's death mode. It makes the game interesting, that's for sure. So, now we can go into how I did this. Something so simple doesn't seem like it would be all that complicated, but it's not as easy as you think. So to start out with, we need to look at our menu.java, which is where our checkmark box is. So here in our design tab up at the top, we can go into the game menu itself, and here's our death mode checkbox. In here, we went to we went to events, action performed right here, which then created a little box right here. So I have if this checkbox is selected, then the variable death mode is true. If not, then the death mode is false. Now that's the easy part. The hard part was getting this variable to pass to board.java, which is where we use it. You'd think it'd be easy. You could just make a universal variable and share it between everything. But that's not exactly how it works. So in this program, in menu, we actually create a new Pong, which is how I figured out how to add in and pass the death mode variable. So Pong has a new conditional statement or conditional variable that you need to initialize it with, which just so happens to be a death mode variable. This was set in pong.java. Let's see right here. So in public Pong boolean dm, which stands for death mode, it needs to have a boolean inside of here, which is what death mode is, and then inside of Pong, the boolean death mode is dm, which then we use the new death mode variable that we created in this, which is separate from the variable that was created in menu, but still has the same value. We pass it then to board, which we also had to do the exact same thing in Pong. So it has to pass to Pong because Pong sets some certain things that we cannot set in menu. And then board then takes that variable and then it uses it. Now this is actually a function that I didn't end up using. This is one of the things that I tried to do. I tried to call a set death mode method from menu, but I ran into a problem that was saying that I was calling an abstract, or I was calling an abstract object from a non-abstract place, and it just didn't know what to do with it, and so this doesn't work. But it was an idea that I had, and it didn't end up working. It's okay to try out ideas and eventually figure out how they work. That's how you do things in coding. You just keep trying things until something works. Now here we have init board, which is our first little use of our of the death mode variable. So here we have if death mode, means if death mode is true, then mod is 3, this is what makes the ball go super fast at the beginning of the game. That by itself does not work, because if we also want it to stay that way in our score, we actually had a thing that set mod to 0 because you want the speed to increase every time. But here we have if death mode is true, then mod is 3 instead of 0, so it stays at a constant of 3. That's the lowest it gets. We have the same thing in score W because those two functions are practically the same thing. Now, to get to the gist of here we have draw objects, which is where the main part of death mode is done. So we have a new number, random. So this number is generated using the here we have java.util.random. Then we initialize a new random, new random, right? This technically is not used, but it doesn't like the name, so that's why it's given it a yellow underline, but ignore that. It generates a random number, a random integer. Let's see. So in here we have rand is new random. The name of the variable is rand. So then we have all of our color things. So the regular, this is what it originally was. g2d.setColor, color.white. And then all of these objects, these three objects, the ball, paddle, and paddle W are all colored white. But instead, we have a new set color, new color, rand.nextInt, 255, 255. We have 3 of those. This is RGB. So this is the amount of red inside of the shape. This is the amount of blue. This is the amount of green. It's on a scale from 0 to 255. So this generates a new integer that only goes up to the number 255, so we don't go over. And it does not generate negative numbers, so we're okay in that regard. So we have set color, random color, set color, random color, set color, random color, and then in between everything we have our ball, paddle, and paddle W. And those are all set to random colors every time draw objects is called, and draw objects is called every time paint component is called, and that is called inside of our game loop, which is down here. Yes, run. That is in here. Ball.move. We have repaint, which calls paint component, and so then everything is all nice and linked together, and death mode works. It hurts your eyes and makes you die, and it's great fun. So thanks for watching. If you would like to play around with this code yourself, you can totally go check it out on GitHub. The link is below in the description. You can download it and play with the code yourself and see what you can do with it. Send me some cool requests or whatever. If you make something cool, totally tell me about it. I would love to see. But yeah, have a great day, and I Hope you don't get a seizure from this. See ya.